chicken. Ooh, and the Jumbo ham and cheese. The Whopper, the Big Fish.
The best deal on Island just got even bigger. Choose from the iconic Whopper, crispy chicken sandwich, original chicken sandwich, the Big Fish, the Jumbo ham and cheese. And make any of them spicy. Any two for just $9. Only available at Burger King.
Hello, parents and guardians. Puberty, relationships, and sex-related topics can be challenging conversations to navigate as a parent, but it doesn't have to be. In celebration of Teen Pregnancy Prevention Month, the Family Resource Center is inviting you to a parenting evening at the Loft Compass Center on Monday, June 5th at 5:30 p.m. Come and learn from health and parenting experts to understand the facts and how to speak to your children about important topics in support of their health and safety. Registration is required. Call 949-0006 or email frc@gov.ky. Refreshments will be provided.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Visit energy.gov.ky or follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is the 2nd day of June 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Drive defensively, not aggressively. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. If you know the rules of the road, if you don't, and for some reason you happen to obtain a driver's license without knowing the rules of the road, without knowing how you are expected to behave and to operate on our roads, then I would urge you to please familiarize yourself with them, because you need to be able to survive on the roads, and others need to feel that they're safe around you when they're driving as well. And always remember, if you observe the rules of the road, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that, For the Record, birthday shout-outs are brought to you by More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than Words, located on the 2nd floor of the Thompson building. For those of you who have lost loved ones, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. The radio voice of Silver Fox, Mr. Paul Akal, is waiting to take your calls this morning. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at For the Record, one word, For the Record at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And we can also take phone calls from that WhatsApp number as well. Only one phone call at a time on that number as well. You can follow us on YouTube. You do that simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. And don't forget that we are on Facebook as well. So first of all, let us look at our birthdays today, and to remind you that the For the Record birthday shout-outs are proudly brought to you by More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than Words, located on the second floor of the Thompson building. So we see Mr. Beto Anglin, or Beto Anglin. He's celebrating birthday today. Also, Mr. Rod Watler celebrating a birthday today. Yesterday, we had Craig Connor celebrating his birthday. Manita Powell also celebrating a birthday. Mr. Ray Roberts celebrated his birthday yesterday also. Also today we have Shavonda Watson, Cindy Hurlston, Alyssa Ebanks, and Valerie Christian. They're all celebrating birthdays today. So we want to wish everyone a happy birthday, and to remind you that the For the Record birthday shout-outs proudly brought to you by More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than Words, located on the second floor of the Thompson building. I have about 5 minutes before we go to the commercial break, and something I want to share with you. So we saw where the Scripps National Spelling Bee was took place, and we have trying to find the young man's name here, who won that spelling bee. But what I wanted to share with you in that regard is an article from BBC, and I shared with some persons yesterday as well. Devish Shah is the person who won the most recent spelling bee last night. But if you have an interest in history, and you may want to check this out. This was a story in the BBC yesterday, The Untold Tale of America's First Spelling Bee Victor. And it talks about the fact that in 1908, Marie C. Bolden an African-American teenager, became the first ever spelling bee champion in the U.S., overcoming tricky words like acquiesce, descendant, and millinery on her way to the top. But her achievement was quickly eclipsed by racial prejudice, and her story rarely told. More than a century later, a search for the long-lost medal has been launched in an effort to shed light on Miss Bolden's triumph and to celebrate her win. Born in Ohio, Miss Bolden, 13, was one of 15 eighth graders selected to represent the city of Cleveland in what was the first national spelling competition in the United States. According to historical records and recounts, she had ranked last in qualifying for her team, but the school's superintendent, Warren Hicks, was determined to have her participate. This despite opposition from other competitors, mainly in the city of New Orleans, who had threatened to drop out of the competition due to having to face a black opponent on stage. Article goes on to say Miss Bolden went on to become the individual champion that year, beating students from 3 other cities after flawlessly spelling 100 words in a written test and 400 words on the stage. She was awarded a gold medal for her achievement. She's quoted as saying, "I just kind of gritted my teeth and made up my mind that I wouldn't miss a word." This was what she told a newspaper reporter at the time. Her accomplishment was applauded by 6,000 adults who witnessed her historic win. The spelling bee competition that Miss Bolden won was part of an annual convention for the National Education Association held that year in Cleveland's Hippodrome Theater. It predates the first ever Scripps National Spelling Bee, which is what takes place now. So this spelling competition predated the Scripps National Spelling Bee by 17 years, an annual competition that has since featured students from across the U.S. and its territories, and even from other countries like Canada, India, and Japan. The competition had its first African-American winner, 14-year-old Zelia Avant-Garde, in 2021. We have to go to a commercial break, but I think I got across what I wanted to get across there, with that. And also to say that if you notice that the Scripps competition dominated mainly by persons of Asian ancestry, Asian descent in the United States in the past several years as well. But this is one story that was hidden for quite a while. They're still trying to find the gold medal that Ms. Bolden won. But if you have an interest, please read it. Please share it with your children as well, because it shows them what can be accomplished, but it also shows them that even today, those racial barriers still exist. We still have to fight them as well. You have the cancel culture there. You have people in the United States now who are trying to simply drown out black history as well. So we have to ensure that we keep it alive. Folks, we're going to take our first commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Reginald Bernie Bernard. Mr. Bernard was the only baker in Cayman. He baked bread and rolls for ships calling at the Georgetown harbor and for local residents and hotels. He was also a farmer who raised cattle and pigs. He and his wife, Rosamond Inez Ebanks Bernard, had 2 sons and 1 daughter. Mr. Bernard served as a vestryman and was a member of Elmsey Church. He was well known to all in Grand Cayman, and people came to him frequently for advice on various subjects. Throughout his life, he never allowed himself to be photographed.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No one can stop me when I taste the feel.
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture. Tap into your roots. More Than Words bookstore in the Thompson Building. Supplies local books, gifts, trinkets, keepsakes, wall plaques, and journals. The hub for local authors. More Than Words. So much more. More Than Words is now open. Shop number 4, second floor Thompson Building. Or call 936-5544.
System 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guest in the studio yet. We have about 8 minutes before we go to our 8 o'clock news. At about 8:15, between 8:15 and 8:30, we will have the leader of the opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and his deputy and member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh, in the studio with us as well. They kindly agreed to switch days so that we could accommodate the members from the Hazard Management, Cayman, and the various chairs of the various clusters into the studio on Wednesday. With Wednesday being the 31st, we wanted to actually host them before the 1st. And of course, you would have heard them on Sterling Dwayne's show, Talk Today, yesterday as well. So the opposition will be in today in place of instead of coming in on Wednesday. And again, we want to thank them for giving up their slot to accommodate them as well. So a little bit more trivia for you. This is from the Tradewinds newspaper, the 3rd of June, 1967. Oh, before I go there, I also want to remember to announce Mr. Roy Connolly. Many of you may know him as Barefoot Roy. He will be celebrating his birthday tomorrow as well. So I want to give a big shout out to Roy Connolly. Happy birthday tomorrow when it comes as well. So the 3rd of June, 1967. That would be 56 years ago, if my math correct. Yep, 56 years ago. There's an article, Hurricane Season Spotlight on the Hurricane and the Hurricane Hunter. That was an article written then in the Tradewinds, and it spoke about the fact that the earliest hurricane of which at the time that we had a record occurred during the voyages of Christopher Columbus. It says that he gives the earliest date of the hurricane as taken place on February the 12th, 1493. The article says that Columbus encountered this storm near the Azores on his return trip from his first voyage to the West Indies. The article then goes on to talk about each year between June and November, the Navy's hurricane hunters based in Jacksonville, Florida, and Roosevelt Road, Puerto Rico, remain on the job as this nation's modern Paul Revere, ready to fly at the first mention of a storm and give ample warning to areas in the path of danger. And a few weeks ago, you would have heard some of the crew of the Hurricane Hunter here on For the Record with us as well. This article in 1967 goes on to speak to the fact that the average hurricane is about 50,000 feet deep. And has gale winds which extend about 250 miles from the hurricane's eye, the center, which is the center of the storm. The eye of the hurricane averages about 25 miles in diameter and looks very much like a flattened donut. During hurricane season each year, and at that time in the 60s, late 60s, the aircraft that was used by the Navy as a hurricane hunter was the WC-120DN Lockheed Super Constellation. That aircraft was carrying millions of dollars worth of radar and meteorological equipment belonging to the Hurricane Hunter. What else does it say here? Talks about the fact, and we still talk about it today, that flooding and not wind has been proven to be the greatest danger in hurricanes. In fact, more than three-quarters of all the deaths caused from tropical storms have been due to inundation as well. So that is extremely, extremely interested in that regard. Let me see if I can pop up another article here real quickly for you about the hurricanes. Okay, 1966, this is 1 year before that. This was on the June the 9th, 1966. Speaks about the first hurricane of the 1966 season, and that took place in early June. On the 5th of June, we were able to avoid it here. Well, we didn't avoid it, it avoided us here in the Cayman Islands, but it seems as if we, and that was called Hurricane Alma. We had 6 days of heavy rain, but it says last revealed their true purpose to Caymanians late in the afternoon of June the 5th. They were the forerunners of the season's first hurricane. So that all we experienced at that time was heavy rain. It goes on to say that on the 5th of June, the presence of a tropical low pressure was detected over the northeastern coast of Honduras. The low pressure area seemed to develop into a tropical storm moving in a northeasterly direction, passing short distance west of Swan Island. And I believe this article goes on to talk about, let me see if I can find it very quickly, page 6, talk about the weather station that we had here in the Cayman Islands. And I'm not sure whether or not, how many of you know that the weather station here in the Cayman Islands was a Cuban weather station, because this paragraph in the article speaks about the fact that according to Felix de la Osa from the Cuban Meteorological Station here in Grand Cayman, the United States Weather Bureau has officially baptized this first hurricane of 1966 with the name Alma. So the weather station that we had here in the Cayman Islands at that time was a Cuban weather station. Now, I've seen comments on social media platforms talking about our radar that we have here in the Cayman Islands. Some people criticizing it for the fact that sometimes it's not operational due to the parts being required. Some people have commented about the money that the Cayman Islands government spent on it. I think you should know that what the Cayman Islands government spent as far as finances are concerned was in kind, not in cash. This was a something that was funded by the European Union. I think it was over 3 million euros for the cost of that as well. But it provides a huge link between the farthest radar station to the east of us and to Cuba, because that was considered a black hole in that area. So not only does that radar station service the Cayman Islands, but provides that essential link for the rest of the Caribbean as well. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. I've gone a few seconds past it. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Radio Cayman time check is now 8 a.m. This time check is brought to you by our good friends at Foster's.
Hey, have you started preparing for hurricane season yet?
Not yet. I'm not sure where to start.
Well, making a grocery shopping list is a good place to begin. You'll want to stock up on non-perishable food items like canned goods, peanut butter, and crackers.
What about water?
Definitely. You'll want to have plenty of bottled water on hand. And don't forget about hygiene and first aid supplies.
That's a good point.
Foster's has a great emergency kit checklist online. Just go to fosters.ky or look out for the helpful signs when shopping in store. Foster's. Better because we care.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. A new Civil Service Employee of the Year has been named.
This individual has a smile that lights up a room, a voice of 1,000 angels. They are passionate about the work that they do. And when they say that they are the face of the Cayman Islands government, a representative for the people, then you know who I'm talking about. 2022 Employee of the Year is none other than Miss Sarah Orrett.
The celebration of the Kimpton Thursday night marks the 10th anniversary of the Deputy Governor's Awards program. In 2022, 12 civil servants were chosen as Employee of the Month. Customer Service Officer and Facilities Management Department Sarah Ord walked away with the ultimate civil service recognition. Chief Officer Choice Award recipients were also honored, and 4 civil service teams were recognized for Moments of Magic. The DGAP recognizes civil servants who, quote, embody the vision, purpose, mission, and values of government, and whose activities help to advance the goals of the Civil Service's 5-year strategic plan. 3 potential developments are shot down by the Central Planning Authority during their May 10th meeting. The first decision came as a conditional approval for Sundance's LTD's application for 12 apartments, a pool, and a cabana at a Northwest Point Road location in West Bay. Objectors there had raised concerns with regards to setbacks, as the site is next to a marine protected area. The National Conservation Council also directed the CPA to impose conditions to prevent runoff and debris from entering the marine protected area. This was followed by an after-the-fact application for land clearing facing objections on Austin Connolly Drive in East End. It was adjourned. An application for a 17-lot subdivision on Frank Sound Road in Northside with no objections was granted conditional approval as well. 60s Properties was refused its pitch for another Northside development, mixed use with several buildings, including retail units, a restaurant, studio apartment storage areas, and a laundry facility. The CPA also refused permission for 16 Boddentown apartments. Finally, Legoland Real Estate's application for 96 apartments, a pool, and a laundry building on Bottabanu in West Bay was also shot down by the CPA. And Stronger Together Choral Festival is tonight.
Come and see the light. Whatever, just as long as we're together, say.
The Cayman Arts Festival event involves singers from Cayman youth choirs as well as at-risk youngsters from the Boys to Men and Rise Girls organizations, as well as students from Lighthouse School. Each organization had workshops this week focusing on one collaborative piece and then one song just for that group of singers. The event is taking place at 5 p.m. at John Gray High School Performance Hall tonight. For tickets, you can call 922-5550. Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Julie Candler. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has called President Putin's invasion of Ukraine a strategic failure for Russia that would greatly diminish its power and influence for years to come. Speaking in Finland, the latest country to join NATO, Mr. Blinken said the war had strengthened the very alliances Russia had sought to weaken, NATO and the EU. The governor of the Russian region of Belgorod says 2 women have been killed in Ukrainian shelling near the 2 countries' border. Vyacheslav Gladkov said they were travelling in a car when they were hit by shrapnel. The Polish president is to propose amendments to a controversial new law amid international concerns that it could be used to ban opposition politicians from standing in this year's elections. The law sets up a committee to investigate Russian influence on Polish officials. Twitter's head of trust and safety has resigned, the second holder of the post to leave since Elon Musk took control last year. Ella Irwin hasn't given a reason for her resignation. Latest figures released by the Japanese Health Ministry reveal the country's birth rate has declined in 2022 for the 7th consecutive year. The Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, unveiled a $25 billion scheme to help raise the plummeting birth rate. More shelling has been reported in the Sudanese capital Khartoum as fighting between the country's warring generals intensifies. Fighting has continued for nearly 7 weeks, despite efforts to broker humanitarian ceasefire. A prominent environmental activist in Vietnam has been arrested on charges of tax evasion. Critics have dismissed the charges against Hoang Thi Minh Hong as politically motivated. The Pakistani government has allowed barter trade with Afghanistan, Iran and Russia for certain goods. Pakistan has foreign reserves to cover just a month's imports. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Quitting smoking isn't easy, but it's absolutely possible. Here's how you can do it. 1. Decide you want to quit. 2. Get the help you need. And 3. Follow through. We're here to help you on your journey to kick the habit. Call the Public Health Department on 244-2889 to register for the next course beginning on May 31st. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks. And the wonderful music of yesteryear. From the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Well, good Friday morning to you, Cayman. Let's take a look at your weather. It's partly cloudy on the outside, mostly sunny. It's 83 degrees Fahrenheit, but it feels like about 96 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Winds are out of the south-southwest at 4 miles per hour. Relative humidity about 80%. The barometric pressure is at 29.77 inches and dropping. Cloudiness and showers have significantly decreased since yesterday and should continue to further improve throughout the day. Localized showers are still likely to occur due to daytime heating. And the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida is issuing advisories on Tropical Depression 2, which at 4 a.m. was located at 27.0 north, 86.5 west, or about 285 miles west of Fort Myers, Florida. Tropical Depression 2 is moving towards the south at 5 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. Of course, this system poses no threat to the Cayman Islands. Our forecast for today, though, calls for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 40% chance of the morning shower and possible thunder, mainly over Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Temperatures will rise to the mid-80s. Winds will be south to southwesterly at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Then looking at this evening, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the mid-70s. Winds will be southwesterly at 5 to 10 knots. And seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. We're now at a high tide. Low tide will be at 2:19 this afternoon and high at 9:20 tonight. Sunset for this Friday will be at 6:59, and the outlook is for light south to southwesterly winds, which are expected to continue through the weekend. And that, my friends, is your latest weather brought to you by our good friends at CG Britke.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britke. Good like that.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britke, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving our goals is rewarding, but at times can feel frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, keep it positive. The human brain does not work very well in the negative. For example, if told not to think about pink elephants, most people's brains go straight to a pink elephant. When setting goals, focus on what you are doing rather than what you are not going to do. For example, instead of saying to yourself not to go on Facebook, say to yourself that you will study more.
Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
All right, once again, good morning to you, my friends. It's Friday. So, how's traffic flow this morning time? Taking a look at the east-west arterial. Majority of the traffic has cleared up. But, of course, the traffic continues along. Just get past the Red Bay roundabouts, and those trying to get in their respective lanes going through South Sound will experience some free flow of traffic. Continuing on through South Church Street and to Walker's Road, you will run into some traffic. Those continuing upon the Linford Pearson, yes, there's traffic there as well, and similar also on Crew Road, and going through Agnes Way and Bobby Thompson Way as well. Getting on to Huldah Avenue and continuing on, traffic starts to ease up slowly. Those continuing on Thomas Russell Way and heading on to the Butterfield roundabouts will experience some slow moving traffic, a little bit of traffic coming off the S. Lee Tibbetts, and of course North Sound Road experiencing some traffic. Looking down from the Ritz-Carlton, traffic heading into the Georgetown area, very moderate and slow in some instances. If you're heading towards the airport, clear at the moment on Roberts Drive. And of course, Cayman Brack and Little Cayman, very little traffic. Just buckle up and stay safe. You'll get to where you're going. time. If not, you have some slight delays to deal with. And of course, your traffic report brought to you by our good friends at Subway.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
We are now in the hurricane season, and to survive a hurricane, you need to be informed. If you have been informed by official sources that a hurricane is approaching the Cayman Islands, and you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding or near the beaches, which may be swept by high tides or storm waves, please seek a safe place and high ground. If the only way for you to get to a safe place is a road that is also likely to be flooded during a storm, please leave home early. Don't run the risk of being stranded. This has been a public service announcement from your community station, Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh, and stepping into the studio right on time, the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy MacTaggart. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good to see you again and again. Thank you for switching dates with us so that we could accommodate members from the Hazard Management Cayman talking about the hurricane season. So, gentlemen, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, OC, and thank you for having us once again. And after a short break, I think a couple of us were traveling.
Yes.
And yeah, it's timely, I guess. There's already a tropical depression out there.
Moving in an unusual direction too.
So I was just going to say, I pray and I hope, and it's probably very unlikely that it at this time of the year will continue to develop. But we must be vigilant and keep our eyes on it, and always prepare for the worst and pray for the best in these situations. So yeah.
Yeah,
and Hazard Management, I give, they do a fantastic job.
They really do.
Informed.
Yeah, they're doing the rounds with all of the, radio stations and everything, getting people aware, because one of the challenges that we have here in the Cayman Islands with our growing population or, people here on work permits and everything, some of them are coming from areas where they don't experience hurricanes. There are others who, are coming from areas that you have typhoons and things of that nature. They know the dangers that exist, but that some simply don't. But I believe also that the business community here in the Cayman Islands after Hurricane Ivan, there's so many lessons learned from that as well that they certainly are prepared as well. Yeah. Mr. Leader.
Thank you too, OC, and good morning to you and to my deputy as well. Sorry I'm a little bit late getting in here, but the traffic was unusually heavy this morning coming in from the West Bay area. But reflecting too on the hazard management people and the great role that they play, they have evolved over the years into a very efficient, I think, and cohesive unit. And they each year too they do a presentation to us in the opposition, and we will have that meeting with them later on this month as well. And so I know a lot of time, preparation, effort goes into hurricane season, just to make sure that we can all be as safe as possible in the event that something like that does. We are threatened again by hurricane, and we've seen their presence and felt their presence in the past, even when tropical storm Grace and Hurricane Ian were passing us by last year as well. So kudos to them. I really reach out and give praise to Danny Coleman, the head of the hazard management team, and to the great work that they do. But delighted once again to be with you on your show, OC.
Great to have you as well. And talking about hazard management, it is amazing and good to see the number of volunteers that you get, especially for shelter management and things of that nature as well. And we want to give a big shout out to those persons who choose to volunteer in that area as well. And we hope and we trust that many Caymanians are doing the same. Also, we sometimes have a tendency to criticize the non-Caymanians who volunteer because we sometimes think that they're doing it, for PR points, which is not always necessarily the case as well. So for all of those persons who volunteer, be you Caymanian or non-Caymanian, we want to say thank you for your services as well. And want to give a big shout out to Miss Sarah Orrett, being chosen as the civil servant, of the year in the Cayman Islands as well. She is such a personable individual. And while we know that, for instance, in the business community, you have some businesses that want you to be business-like at all times. But, to bring that friendly attitude, that, Caymanian attitude towards your job is also extremely important. We still have people in this country who look at you sort of funny when you say good morning to them because they're not accustomed to that. But that's a part of us. That's what we're all about. And, those qualities that Sarah brings to the table are exceptional. And want to just say a big shout out and congratulations to her as well.
And I would echo that 1,000 times over, OC, knowing Sarah literally all my life, really, and seeing the role there. I look forward whenever I come in to that building, to GAB, to see her there at the reception.
Yes.
Because you can always look for a smile. You can always look for a pleasant welcome. She is just so friendly, outgoing. She is the epitome of what I would call someone who demonstrates Cayman kindness.
Yes.
And, it doesn't matter what her day is, how hard or how tough she's having a day she's having or what's going on in her life. She is always pleasant. I commend the Deputy Governor and those who are responsible for choosing her as the Employee of the Year. That is well-deserved, a well-deserved recognition. She's an example of what it means to be a truly world-class civil service. I can't say a bad word about Cece.
So true. Yes.
I joined with the leader in that, and Cece and I grew up right down the street from each other. We played. She was a good footballer.
That's right. Yeah.
Played football in the road and ran up and down Iron Shore, Northwest Point, all of our lives, of the youth, I should say. So, and I know that, Sarah just, took the opportunity that was given to her there at the government administration building and embraced it.
Yes.
And has ran with it. And, congratulations. I mean, she was well-deserved and she worked hard at it. I can say that.
Yeah. Okay. So, gentlemen, what's happening on the parliamentary front these days?
Well, we're slated to go into Parliament on Wednesday, so that's one of the things we wanted to discuss here this morning. To talk about the quite peaky parliamentary questions that we in the opposition have filed.
Okay.
See, what I'd begin with by saying, it is a very light agenda for this session of Parliament. As far as I know, I need to leave here a little bit earlier. Just preface my statement saying because I do have to attend a business.
Yes,
meeting.
I was alerted to that. Yes,
to where we decide basically the order and of business for next week Wednesday. But there are two bills that are on the agenda. One is the proceeds of an amendment to the proceeds of crime bill. That'll be brought by the Attorney General, and the second one is a supplementary appropriation bill to deal with expenses. I think our spending that was completed in 2022 to just basically to close off the requirements of the PMFA to have that approved by the Parliament. But from my recollection, most, if not all, of the stuff that's in that bill is stuff that would have been to Parliament, or we would have known about it. Particularly what we call Section 12 appropriations, where they have to come to Parliament first before they are allowed to spend it. So there's stuff in there we have already examined and looked at. So I don't anticipate that there would be any lengthy examination of those items. But then there are the Section 11.5 and 11.6 appropriations where Cabinet is allowed to approve expenditures without coming to Parliament, but they have to make statements in the House with regard to that before once Cabinet approves it. So those items we will be taking a close look at to understand the nature of the expenditure and why these things were needed to be approved. So we will be asking questions about that when we get into Finance Committee. That's what it's all about. In addition to that, I think the opposition, there are three.
So before we go on to the opposition, and the leader raised a very good point there on the Section 11s, those that the transfers or movements of money and spending that's approved by Cabinet. They are supposed to make a statement to the House at the earliest opportunity, and I think this is one of the dangers of the lack of regular meetings, and also this seems to be this rush when they do come. We're not given proper I don't think the civil servants are even given proper notice as to when Parliament would be called to have these statements prepared and to get ready. We were given 14 days total this time around, very similar to in the past, and we had to have Parliament. We had 2 days, 48 hours to get parliamentary questions in, and we had five working days if we were able to put together any private member motions. And unfortunately, we were waiting on data to get in a couple of important private member motions and putting them together, and we just were not going to meet the timeline to get those in, and that's unfortunate. And that's what happens when you have just a 14-day notice, less than 10 working days notice to get these things done. So these are the dangers, and we. The question is being asked of these statements. This is the public's money that were budgeted for specific reasons, and while that monies are being moved around, it's very difficult to question them when you wait a year down the road or 9 months down the road when the spending has already happened, That's more of a post-mortem than anything else at that point. So
because any impact that those changes may have had, you don't get to really question it or to determine what it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, why don't we take a commercial break, and when we return, then we can talk, about your PQs and everything else. Folks, please stay tuned. The conversation with the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joe Hugh, will continue. So don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and respiratory illnesses are among the top causes of death in Cayman every year. From June 3rd until July 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will conduct the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey to better understand the prevalence of non-communicable diseases within our nation. Log on to www.gov.ky/STEPS to learn more.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget, our Custom Closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britke. Good like that.
System 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joe Hugh. One of our listeners commenting on the comments that we made about Miss Sarah Orrett. The person said that that was their career for 50 years, working at 3 different entities, and said that Sarah took after her. As a cousin taught by me. So this person, Sarah's cousin, and they taught her as well. We have one caller. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, Mr. O'Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Okay, and good morning to Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Roy McTaggart, and the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Joey Hugh.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Okay. And congratulations to my sister Sarah Orrett also.
Yes.
Yeah. Sarah has come far.
Yes, I agree with you, sir.
He has been through some serious problems in life. He has come far. I'm glad to see where my sister is at this time. And I always looked up to her as my guardian angel growing up.
Yeah. Both of us.
Yes, Joey. That's true. But I have a question concerning Cayman Black Power and Light. Why didn't the government buy that?
It's a difficult question to answer, and it's one which I do not know, have an answer for. But I do know that, I think the opportunity was there, or could have been there, if they had wanted to. And I don't know whether they were a party at the table, bidding for it in any way. But certainly, DART is the one that emerged as the purchaser. So it's difficult to say that, just to comment, because we just don't know the information on what took place behind the scenes with regard to the sale of Cayman Brac Power and Light.
Yeah, I think certainly. In modern trends, governments tend to stay away from utilities, and only in cases where perhaps the utility company is going into default, or maybe the owners are pulling out, that government usually steps in and takes shares or owns it. And I don't know what the situation was there. And of course, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman are fairly unique. In their size and the lack of ability to really plan as a company and project on growth, based on growth and investment back into the power company. So I do know that it seems that the new owners, DART, the focus there is moving more towards renewables. Yes. For the sister islands. So I think that, even if government owned it, I think that would be the direction that would need to be taken to be sustainable over there.
Do you know, without people having a big say in it, is the government allowed to just go ahead and sell CUC without what I would say call a referendum?
Government doesn't own CUC.
I think. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the only utility company, if you want to call it that, the government owns at the moment is the Water Authority, and not Cayman Water Company either, but just the Water Authority. CUC is a publicly traded company in Canada, and so government doesn't own it. I think if government were to sell Water Authority, would they be able to do so without public consultation? Probably. I think they would have to certainly may have to go to, or should go to Parliament at a minimum, even just to as a courtesy.
Yes.
But to answer your question on CUC in particular, that's privately owned.
And one more thing. When it comes to hurricanes, in Florida, the base in Florida has warned us that Cayman is a bullseye of hurricanes in the Caribbean. Global warming is getting worse. It's getting hotter, which means we're going to have more hurricanes. Why is it that government continue not to build proper hurricane shelters in this country? And when I say proper hurricane shelters, I'm seriously talking hurricane shelters with foundations at least 10 to 20 feet in height. I know you all have been to the 12-mile bank, gentlemen, or probably further, and coming back into Cayman, Grand Cayman, we're actually down in a bowl. So you all know what I'm saying. If it ever occurred, it would be something that would be needed in this country, and it should hold at least 700 people. And that's what I think part of the concessions are all about, is to provide these things for us to save our lives. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, caller.
I think the government strategy over the years have been to every building being built by government that we build it at least to some level for the as a hurricane shelter. Specifically built hurricane shelters, he raises a good point. I think the way to go is continue to build any government buildings or any upgrades needed on any of the schools, etc., that they're all built to Cat 5 hurricane standard shelters as a full shelter. We have many shelters in Ireland that would house you after a hurricane or a natural disaster, but we do need a lot more shelters that can actually shelter you during the storm. Full shelter, a Category 1 shelter, I believe they call it. I can't remember how they categorize the shelters, but certainly one that can house you during a hurricane and after, because some of the buildings like GAB and others can house you during the storm but aren't able to house you after, and then you have some that can house you after the storm but aren't able to house you during the storm. But we do need more. The Bodden Town hurricane shelter that started, and that's what you would call a public-private partnership, I guess, with a church. That was agreed upon and construction started during our term. There has been delays with that. In fact, perhaps we need to follow up with a parliamentary question on that one, because we haven't heard anything more on it for quite a while now. And I know it was there at a certain level where I think just a parking lot needed.
Yeah.
But I understand they were going to make some amendments to it to house some government offices or something. But I think the priority there should have been at least having it finished before this hurricane season, which doesn't seem to have happened again. So.
What we were told by one of the representatives on Wednesday was that they hope for it to be completed at least midway through this hurricane season for it to be completed.
Okay.
Yeah.
But did they give a reason? What was the delays?
No, they said that there were some delays, but didn't give what the reasons.
The thing
were.
To the discussion, I would add that we can't forget the new John Gray High School
campus, that was
which
mentioned
is designed
as well,
to hold, and shelter several thousand people in the event of a hurricane as well. I don't know what the net increase in persons is that it can hold, because the campus previously was as well a hurricane shelter as well. So I mean there is some increase, but when you look overall at the status of what is available to shelter in a hurricane, it is woefully lacking. And I think we all know that, but I think things seem to be moving in the right direction in terms of getting additional capacity.
Okay, we're going to take... Go ahead.
When we come back, then what I'll do is I'll just run through, because I'm not too sure we can get a chance to ask these questions in Parliament. So I'll run through some of the parliamentary questions that the opposition are providing at the next sitting.
Okay, quick commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Health behaviours and lifestyle choices such as diet and smoking can be risk factors for non-communicable diseases. The STEPS 2023 National Health Survey will allow the Ministry of Health and Wellness to gather important data on the health of the nation, including these risk factors. This information will inform our plans for the health needs of Cayman's residents, allowing us to better serve our population. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens. and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
I can do this.
We believe in you.
Each day brings hope.
Every day, millions of people celebrate their recovery from addiction and mental illness while others begin their journey. Be a part of it. Share your strength, support, and hope. Join the Voices for Recovery. Together, we are stronger.
Join the Voices for Recovery and attend one of our upcoming workshops to learn how you can support someone impacted by substance abuse. District workshops will be offered during the month of September in West Bay, Georgetown, and East End. For further information, contact the Department of Counseling Services at 949-8789.
Why replace when you can respray? At Granite Express Cayman, we can completely transform your old kitchen cabinets with a fresh kitchen respray for just a fraction of the cost of buying new ones. Big news! Our summer special promo is here. We are offering kitchen countertop specials up to 50 square feet installed for only $1,595 CI for granite and $1,895 for quartz. We can make your dream kitchen come true and at a price to suit all budgets. Call 922-0424 for a free estimate, friendly service, fast installation. Hurry! Limited time only while supplies last. Visit graniteexpresscayman.com.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system for information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh, and the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart. We're going to try to cover some of the PQs, parliamentary questions that will be asked in our Parliament when it meets next week, Wednesday, that is?
That's correct.
Okay. Over to you, gentlemen.
Yeah. So we have a few from Ms. Barbara Conley, the MP for Georgetown South, and then a number of questions from myself. MP Conley's first question is to the Minister of Planning, Agriculture and Housing and Infrastructure. Can the Honourable Minister advise what are the plans of the NRA regarding removing the double yellow lines placed on both sides of Hawkins Drive that have been a long-standing concern for many residents of that area? So that's been a very hot topic in her constituency, and she's seeking answers there. She also has another question for the Minister. Can our Honourable Minister advise what are the requirements, if any, for motorised bicycles, electronic bicycles and electronic scooters to be used on public roads, including whether they are required to be insured licensed and inspected, and for helmets to be worn by the users. Ms. Conley also has a question for the Minister of Health. Can the Honourable Minister advise whether the mental health facility is still on track to be handed over at the end of June 2023? I think a supplementary question for that is going to be whether or not they have the staff or funding to, whether they have the funding to staff the facility. I have a question in my name for the Honourable Minister of Financial Services. Can the Honourable Minister advise whether the government has considered any strategies to assist the public in the current rising interest rate regime? And after we wrote this question and submitted it, a lot has been said in the public arena regarding these rising interest rates, including the letter from the Premier stating his disappointment in response from the commercial banks, which I think, hopefully the Premier, and I'll put it out public to him now, hopefully the Premier will bring that letter with him on when these questions are asked, and read the letter to the public so we can all hear exactly what the bank's response to him was that so disappointed him.
And he would be required then to lay that on the table of Parliament, and it then becomes a public document as well.
Yeah, we would certainly expect or seek to determine exactly what's in that.
He could.
And that's the best way to accomplish it.
He actually doesn't have to lay it on the table. Actually, he could give the speaker a copy and then read from the letter. Okay. But it would be good if he laid it on the table. It would clear up a lot of speculation
and we also need to show those financial institutions that we're serious about this.
I think I'm hoping that there will be that's just not it. We asked them a question, they didn't respond, and that's it. It's over. I would hope that they continue to talk and continue to negotiate and work with them to find some relief at some point. Another question from Ms. Conley to the Minister of Tourism and Ports. Can the Minister advise the House on the government's plans to improve the current conditions of the temporary craft market? We've gotten a lot of complaints, and not complaints, a lot of citizens have sent us pictures, etc., of the conditions of it. The tent has holes in it, and it's very very disorganized and looks a bit scrappy, not what we want to be portraying as the Cayman Islands for sure. A question from myself to the Honourable Minister of Planning. Can the Minister update the House on the plans of the National Housing Development Trust, NHDT, to build affordable housing in Georgetown, including whether the 25-acre site off Linford Pearson Highway will be utilized as intended for affordable homes, or has the government or the NHDT located replacement property that should be identified replacement property in Georgetown of a similar size to accommodate affordable homes? So again, we see a second set in this administration being built in East End. We see quite a number of homes being proposed in West Bay and North Side. Even if we just take it from a perspective of traffic, at this point now you would think that they would be looking to build some homes in the Georgetown area to keep people in this area, and they are desperately needed, So hope to hear some good news from them. It's a shame that there's a issue with the property that we identified and purchased on the Linford Pearson Highway. I understand from surrounding properties that the particular type of mangrove there, or the black mangrove there, is not a mangrove that's at risk. We met with another property owner that offered to sell government 5 acres, I think it was, of property just down the street, and the response that they received was that the mangroves weren't of endangered species type. And so I understand the concern about flooding, but with flooding you can mitigate that. The property is large enough that you can put lakes, you can put swales, you can do a lot of things to mitigate flooding. So hope to hear some positive news for our Georgetown people on that front. Just lost my space here. Okay, and the next question from myself again to the Premier. Can the Honourable Premier update the House on the progress with the Regen project, including the date for financial close, and to also advise whether the scope of the project has changed since the March 2021 contract signing between the DART Group and the government, and if so, what are the changes? So the day after we submitted this question, there was a short press release that they are getting close to the financial close, but hopefully we will hear some more about that. There was a fairly decent sized fire at the landfill on Wednesday. On Wednesday. Thankfully that was during the very heavy rain.
Yes.
So, but I understand that I've been very reliably informed that fires have continued to burn there almost on a weekly basis, and in fact that the fire service is feeling rather stretched because of the amount of manpower needed to deal with those fires. So I also see the equipment. I don't want to be all negative. Since our last update, the compacting machine that was going to take 7 weeks or whatever it was to assemble, they got it out there quickly. It's been up there working. A few other pieces of new equipment is up there. They're moving.
Excellent.
Seems as if they're moving the land, excavating parts of it and then compacting and putting the trash back. So I hope, at least I see a lot of work happening there, and I can smell the work happening from my constituency. People as far as, I was speaking to a gentleman that lives on the water behind Treasurer, what's that? Grandview? Is that Grandview behind there?
Not sure.
I can't. Anyway, behind the World Gym, and they can smell it clearly there as well. So, but I think it's a combination of the excavation that they're doing, and also the rain also causes that. So, we're going to be seeking an update there from the Premier on the landfill. On the Regen project, which I don't think anyone would disagree is of urgent, is an urgent project that the country so desperately needs. I have another question to the Premier from myself, and it says, can the Honourable Premier update the House on his government's position on a moratorium on the granting of some forms of Caymanian status? So that is, we haven't heard anything except from two ministers that have been on the show a couple of times talking about it. A lot of questions are being asked in the public. People, I think that if there's not some clarity added, there may be some unintended ramifications caused by it. At a time where there's so much uncertainty with interest rates, with development, with the government, I think it would be good to hear from the Premier exactly where the government is with this and what their plans are, so that everyone can know where they stand and what is happening. And then another question from myself for the Minister of Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure. Can the Minister update the House on the plans to complete the Airport Connector Road, including the anticipated completion date? And for those of us and our tourists that sit in traffic trying to get out of Industrial Park or trying to get through that Butterfield roundabout, and the frustration and the road rage and the accidents. The Godfrey Nixon Way extension, which seems to be happening 1 foot at a time. I don't know. they do a little bit of sidewalk and then they leave and they come back and they do a little bit of paving, and also the Airport Connector Road are desperately needed in order to alleviate some of that pressure from that
Connector Road would
roundabout.
Certainly do so.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that's all the questions we had.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Okay. Top of the hour, headline news at 9 o'clock, folks. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. The conversation with the Leader of the Opposition and his deputy will continue shortly.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
A celebration at the Kimpton Thursday night marks the 10th anniversary of the Deputy Governor's Award Program, with Sarah Orrett walking away with the ultimate civil service recognition. She earned the 2022 Employee of the Year award. The U.S. Congress has approved a deal to lift the country's borrowing limit days before the world's largest economy is due to default on its debt. The bipartisan measure sped through the Senate by a vote of 63-36 a day after it cleared the U.S. House of Representatives. President Joe Biden has said he will enact the measure into law. His signature on the bill will spare the U.S. from a catastrophic default on its $31.4 trillion in debt. And a teenager from Florida has won the 2023 Scripps National Spelling Bee in the United States. 14-year-old Dev Shah, a student from Largo, spelled Samophile correctly to win the 95th National Bee and the $50,000 prize. 14-year-old Charlotte Walsh was the runner-up, having incorrectly spelled Davali as Davalik. A Samophile is an organism that lives in sandy areas. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system for information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before I pass the mic back over to the Leader of the Opposition and his deputy, one of her listeners has written and said, I heard MP Hugh talking about building the schools to hurricane strength. It says, but the buildings seem to be built too low for flooding. Also, since Hurricane Ivan, I think the government should have mandated that all houses and buildings going forward be built at least 2 to 3 blocks high. I noticed some new apartments on Crew Road that look like they are less than a block high above the foundation. So that's that person's observation. Yeah. And then one of our other listeners wanted to know what are your thoughts on DART's acquisition of Compass Media as well. So somewhere during the conversation, if we could address those issues, we'd be certainly grateful to our listening and viewing audience.
Yeah. The only thing, just to round out Parliament, OC Gajoy dealt with the questions. As far as we know, that's all the questions that are on the agenda. Mm-hmm. No questions from the other member of the opposition, Mr. Saunders. And so there are three private members' motions that are slated to be debated in opposition. The one is the well-known one now from Mr. Bush with regard to interest rates and his requests for government to consider. There's also one, we only got them late yesterday, and so we're still looking into them, one of which is, both of them I think from Mr. Saunders, one regarding the pensions and amendments that he would like government to make with regard to the pensions to the pensions law. Let me see if I can find it here.
So while he's looking
for
that,
we can break the silence.
yeah, the caller observations are that on the height of the building.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The law actually, which was recently amended, and we took a lot of criticism for it because it does cost persons additional funds.
Mm-hmm.
But the planning requirements for new homes is a minimum of 5 feet above mean sea level. So there is a minimum standard, and she said it in blocks. So that would actually be higher than a couple of layers of blocks. But what's important is that it's at higher than mean sea level. So it depends on where you're building. So if you're building on property that's already 3 feet above mean sea level, then you will only need to have a 2-foot foundation. And I think if you look at the recent John Gray High School, that area of Georgetown is actually on a bit of a ridge.
Yes.
So that would give the impression that it's not very high. But when you look at the height compared to the mean sea level, it certainly will be at a minimum of 5, and I would suspect that John Gray High School is a much higher above sea level than that, the auditorium, etc., because it does have a ramp up.
Yeah.
And as I said, so it's not done by blocks or the actual height of the foundation, but it's done based on mean sea level.
Sea level.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know as well. And as far as the mention was made in relation to some construction that is taking place now on Linford Pearson Highway in that area. I'm not sure if it's the Silver Oaks area or where, but whatever amendments that were made, if you had approvals that were done prior to those amendments, they would not necessarily fall under the same conditions, have the same terms and conditions if your approval was
prior, and you kept your permits current.
Yes, yeah.
If you made your permits lapse, then and you applied for a new permit, you probably would have to update your drawings to the new standards. But those amendments were made quite a while ago, actually. So it shouldn't. Any construction happening now should be to the standards of 5 feet above mean sea level.
Yeah. Mr. Leader?
No, just pick up then with regard to the rest of the business on before the House on Wednesday. There's also a private member's motion from Mr. Saunders regarding asking government to consider reducing the duty on medicines, medical and surgical supplies. And really the request for consideration is to allow for these items, medicines, medical and surgical supplies, to be imported duty-free. And then finally, there's one I mentioned with regard to pension and employee benefits reform that he's asking government to consider. It has a number of referrals to the Pensions Act, which I haven't been able to research up to this point with regard to it, and increasing some allowances there. So that's the business that will be dealt with next week in the House. Yeah.
Okay. So the other question that we had, your views on DART's acquisition of Compass Media, and based on what I see people have written on social media and what I've heard otherwise, and I'm not sure whether or not it's relevant to the whole discussion, but some people don't seem to be aware as to whether or not the purchase of the company includes the purchase of the property that business is located on, because I believe in the past when it has changed hands, it was in relation to the business and not necessarily the property, and I don't know if that obtains still.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my understanding when Mr. Bergstrom acquired it was that he did acquire the property as well.
Okay.
So, but in regard to this most recent one, I don't know the answer to that question. Is one I think we'll find out in due course. But my immediate reaction to the acquisition was that I think I understood. I mean, this was just chatter, but it was always understood that the Compass, and thinking of the newspaper, the news element of it, was struggling, and I know that Mr. Bergstrom had actually they sold off a portion of it I think was it the printing business?
Yes.
Aspects of it were hived off, I think, earlier this year. So I mean, there clearly was activity there to I guess downsize it and try to manage it more effectively and efficiently. I don't even want to say this, but I mean, I'll just keep to my statement. I've heard in recent months that that there were difficulties there. It was a financial drain. That was my understanding and hearing. So I think the acquisition by DART, I think it could be very positive in that regard, that it would stabilize them. But I also think, too, there's a real opportunity there for them to really raise the standards of reporting in the country. We've seen significant changes in an evolving of the media here in Cayman. And at the moment, what we would consider mainstream media comprises the Compass and Caymanian Times. Then you got Cayman News Services and Cayman Mile Road.
And then I think Loop Cayman
Loop,
as well.
Loop as well. Yeah, you do have Loop. I should include them in the mainstream. But I think that what I see here too, there's a real opportunity for them to bring back a television station in the country. I think it is so desperately needed. And regardless of whatever I want to say, CIG TV fulfills and has its place in our community and what it provides. But, having an independent and functioning, television station like Cayman 27 was and what
to
they
focus
provide.
on local news.
Absolutely,
mainly, yes,
absolutely, is sorely needed in Cayman, and I would hope that as part of their work in trying to that they might consider that because it's so desperately needed, and I just think overall it should provide balance in the news media.
Yeah, and of course, when the conversation crops up about DART and their acquisitions, I saw some comments on social media about government entities and in particular Radio Cayman. We also know that at the start of one administration, there was some talk about the fact that there were some persons who were proposing that Radio Cayman be sold. We know what some administrations, the position that they took in terms of giving their commitment to Radio Cayman as a government-owned radio station, the people's radio station. Any comments, any observations from you and your government in that regard?
I would never support personally the government disposing of Radio Cayman. I do believe it has a role to play in this country. It has done so since 1975, 76. I think it is important for a government, particularly in an island environment, to have that ability to reach the people and provide the vital services that it does. When you talk, and I've seen survey after survey after survey when it looking at the news media in Cayman, and people are asked, who do you go to first for your news? Radio Cayman is number one. So they are fulfilling a very important function in Cayman, and it is again that coupled with the television is how government is able to get its message out to the people. And I think that is important and must continue.
Yeah, I would agree, and in fact, I would, you can always rely on Radio Cayman. We're at the start of hurricane season. I mean, none of us that were here for Ivan forgot that Radio Cayman was with us almost all the way to the bitter end, until I think the staff were climbing up into the ceiling somewhere or something. And you have to have an outlet where you can that you can be assured that the news you're receiving is factual and that it's reliable, especially when you come down to times where there are natural disasters. I mean, we've had earthquakes, we've hurricanes, things of that nature. It's important that the country has a news outlet that they know that they can rely on, that will be there real time, and that it's factual. I would even go as far as, and what we discussed, we even at one point looked at the Cayman 27 equipment when Cayman 27 closed, to see whether or not that could be used to amalgamate Radio Cayman and GIS into also a television station that persons would be able to see the news, and we would be able to broadcast and promote local happenings, local culture, and that sort of thing. So, we received a courtesy call from the CEO of DART about the acquisition, and during that discussion, there seemed to be an appetite as well to see whether we can get back to more printed paper. I shared with him the story. I was going over to the BRAC last Friday, and my dad was there for a couple of days and going to meet him. And he said to me, "Can you please bring me a compass?" And so on the way to the airport, I stopped at a few gas stations, couldn't find any. I said, "They must have it at the airport." I went to the airport, couldn't find one to buy in the airport. So I said to him, when I got there, I said, "I couldn't find any compass to buy, but I have my laptop. I'll open it for you when we get home. You can," I thought it was a specific article he was looking for. And he said, no, that's okay. He said, "I just like to have a newspaper and take my time and read it. I find it relaxing having, And the CEO shared the same sentiment. And so his comments were that they're going to strive to get back to, if not daily, at least a couple of days of the week, where you can have access to a printed paper. And we even talked about television, getting back to having television news and local content featuring local happenings, yes, and that sort of stuff. A lot of people miss that. Okay. We hear that all the time. "Oh gosh, I miss watching the news in the evening. I used to have it on in the background in the TV. So. I took it that much further, but certainly that's our stance on it.
Okay, well, thanks for your views on that. Folks, we have a caller on hold. We have to take a commercial break first. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. No one can stop me when I taste the feel. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
West Bay Pharmacy. Personalized medicine, customized care to meet your specific needs. Your body is unique to you. Your medicine should be too. Whether you're seeking individual-specific medication, correct size dosages, or simply better tasting medicine, ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about how compounding at West Bay Pharmacy can increase your treatment options, not only for your family, but for your pets too. West Bay Pharmacy, open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays and most holidays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and respiratory illnesses are among the top causes of death in Cayman every year. From June 3rd until July 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will conduct the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey to better understand the prevalence of non-communicable diseases within our nation. Log on to www.gov.ky/steps to learn more.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're going straight to the phone lines as promised. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning again, gentlemen.
Good morning again, sir.
Yes, I have a question for Leader of the Opposition, Mr. McTaggart, and the Deputy Leader, Mr. Hugh.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Concerning complaints about our banks in the Cayman Islands. In order to save our reputation financially, locally, and internationally, I think something seriously needs to be brought to the floor of the House. And when it comes to off-rig, a gentleman that was working there, that is no longer working there, not too long ago, said that while he was working there, off-rig had a problem with him taking serious complaints seriously when it came to people sending their utility bills to off-rig to be investigated. So, as the opposition, do you all feel that off-rig should be investigated?
Okay.
I don't know if there are avenues that, if you speak of the particular gentleman that he has that he can go to, and that being whether it's Ombudsman's office, there's even the Anti-Corruption Commission if he feels it goes deeper. There are avenues to go there. I think off-reg being a regulatory authority, and I had some experience in it as it fell under my ministry for a bit. Off-reg being a regulatory authority, it is set up in a way to have a minimum amount of government interference. Okay. And it's also internationally, it is considered or it's seriously frowned upon if governments start to meddle in regulatory authorities within that framework. And it actually can, in other countries, have led to the country being downgraded by Moody's, etc., because of that, what is considered instability when that happens. But certainly, if there are issues that are brought to the governor's attention and are certainly taken to one of the other agencies in the Ombudsman's office, or if they feel there's corruption, to the Anti-Corruption Commission, then those investigations would have happened. I think there would have to be some pretty serious allegations for the government of the day to ask for an investigation.
Yeah, and I think just to continue that, just to reinforce it, the elected arm, I don't think would be the one appropriate to conduct or to might be able to call for an investigation, but that ultimately that responsibility then belongs within, I think, the deputy governor or the governor's office in terms of any way forward on that. It's a tricky area to deal with, and to say you have one strong feeling one way or another. And I would always offer caution when you start to talk about investigating a regulator. That's dangerous territory. That's very tricky territory
Has to be good,
to go down.
good grounds.
You've got to have some very strong, clear grounds for the need for such a step. And if it's, if the situation, it is a situation where people aren't doing a job, then there are means and mechanisms, I think, within the structure to deal with that. But they must be, in my mind, largely left alone to do the work that they are set up to do.
Okay.
Well, I'd just like to say this. As members of the Legislative Assembly, it's your responsibility to take care of the people in making sure that Ofrig takes serious complaints seriously when it comes to our utility bills. Because from what I just heard you all saying, it sounds like Ofrig has more power individually than you all have as politicians. Is that what you just said?
No, I didn't say that. I don't think my deputy said that. No. We just urge caution in it. I mean, I'll have to say personally, I'm not aware of any big complaints about Ofrig and dealing with specific utility bills. I'm not aware of them. But I mean, that is a part of their remit and of the staff, if they are getting those complaints, to look at them, investigate them, and find if there is merit. But I mean, if official complaints are made to someone like Ofrig, the complainant, the person who makes the complaint, deserves a response from them to say how have they disposed of their complaint and what are their findings of their complaint. So, I mean, there is a very clear process for these things to be dealt with.
Okay. Caller, I want to thank you very much. We're going to try to accommodate one more caller before we go to the break. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Ossie. Good morning, Lee.
Hey, morning. How are you, my friend?
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks. Good. Thank you. I joined you a little late, so I hope that I'm not touching a subject which has already been dealt with. But two questions, really. Not so much questions, but just some. I'm trying to elicit some comments. Two things. One, aside from the purchase of the campus, just generally within the media field, a lot of people have the view that since Cayman doesn't really have like a station which is government-owned or at least substantially owned by government, which is similar to Cayman 27, that Cayman does not have a very strong grip on what the kids are watching. And in my view, in my experience, a lot of times when a country does that, their culture, they are not able to impart their culture to their young people if they don't have a channel which can cater mainly to those. And in a lot of other countries, they've got very strict views about that. I just want to find out what the views of the two gentlemen are in relation to that. Doesn't Cayman need... I know Radio Cayman does what it can, but without a TV station really promoting that, it seems to me that it's a waste of time to talk about how kids should learn about Cayman culture. That's point number one. The second one, very briefly, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan and the Honorable John Seymour were on radio the other day. They said some very detailed things about immigration, and they would like some measures taken in that area. And I'm quite sure you are familiar with what they said. What is your comment? What is the position of the opposition regarding that? If it is fine, I'd like to hold on just to listen to the answer, if it's fine.
Okay, We're going to take a commercial break, so we're going to ask you to hang in there. That will give our guests an opportunity to ponder, what you've said as well. And we'll reconnect with you as soon as we return from Headline News, which will be extremely short. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system for information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're going straight. We have a caller on hold still. Gentlemen, give you an opportunity to respond.
I think if I could just pick up with it, OC.
Sure.
I think we addressed those things earlier, particularly with regard to something like the television station and what people are worrying about. I said earlier that I'd really hoped that DART, having acquired it, that they would look into bringing that sort of media back into the country, because I think the good portion of the Caymanian population lament the demise of Cayman 27 when it closed down a few years ago, and it is something I think it is sorely needed, and I think the country would probably welcome it back quite with open arms. And then remind me now what the second part was, caller?
About the
immigration.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we're trying to understand right now, just what the government's position is with regard to it. I mean, we've heard what two ministers have postulated in terms of what they say are their personal opinions. But I mean, when ministers speak publicly, it normally can be ascribed to the government as policy. And so we have a question to ask the minister, the premier, what is his government's position with regard to this matter, because it does have some very serious implications for us if you move down that road.
And they did point out on the show, sorry for interrupting you, but
that's okay,
that they were speaking, personally,
yes,
not on behalf of the government.
I do. Yes. They did go to that. But I think we want to hear from government. What is their position? What are they looking to do? I mean, you know, we talk about immigration and immigration reform, and just mentioning it here in the break as well, you know, there's always a need for immigration reform. And I mean, what exists today is something that was put into effect, back in 2015. Long time. So it's, you know, 7-8 years ago. So there probably is a very strong need now for there to be some look into immigration and the current policies, and to decide what changes, if any, are needed to it. So I mean that's where I would leave it.
Yep.
Well, as I sign off, just two short comments on that. Firstly, I wouldn't have thought that government should leave it to a private sector company to hoping that it will be able to promote local content. In most countries, including developed Western countries, usually that is for the government which does that. And secondly, regarding the position of about immigration, I would have thought that the opposition should already have a position on this. This is something which people have talked about for decades. I know that you are right, the government has to say where they stand, but I would have thought that this is something that you would have answered straight away and said what the position of the opposition is. But otherwise, thanks very much. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. This WhatsApp message came in early as well, to say, please ask your guests to give their recommendation to address the interest rate increases. What is the formal position of the opposition on this? And then they're saying, why have you not joined the government in fighting this issue on behalf of the people? This is much more important than opposing roundabout changes at Hurley's.
We touched on it briefly, and I'll go first at it. This is why we asked the question. We were asking the question. We did have a parliamentary question submitted prior to the Premier's press release. But we had a brief discussion on it this morning that we're hoping the Premier will share with us the response from the bank, so that we can see what their response, or if there were any recommendations, or if there was anything the banks were willing to do. And I think it shouldn't, as I said earlier, it shouldn't just end there where the government throws their arms up in the air and said, okay, the bank said no. There are a lot of other discussions that could be had with the banks. They could look at lowering fees. They could look at putting programs in place to assist persons to adapt to the increase in interest rates. And there are programs that the government possibly could put in place as far as mortgage rescues and that sort of stuff. This is, OC, I think you will agree with me that for months now, as we've been coming on the show, we have been waving the flag saying we haven't heard from our government about what we know is coming. We knew the interest rates were coming. We know the difficulties and the increase in home insurance, if you can get home insurance at this point. Even just the values of our properties going up is fantastic, right? We all know property values went up, but that means our home insurance is going up as well. Yeah. And so people are going to find it very difficult to meet all of these demands as the economy continues to find its way into some level of stability. The U.S. is determined to push into, seems determined to force a recession, and you know, the verdict is out on where we will see an end to this, and where we will see interest rates starting to come back down. What will happen with property insurances? What will this hurricane season bring to the region? These are a lot of things that our people, each and every one of us, are going to have to face, are facing now, and will continue to face for some time. And we believe that there should be, I certainly believe that there should be a holistic approach from the government, and there should be plans in place. I'm very concerned, we are very concerned about this $1.4 billion budget and the level of spending, $76 million on airports, and you hear all these plans for all these things are going to do. The bill on the sustainability side of things seems as if that is going to dominate majority of the budget as well, or a large section of the budget. Healthcare costs are rising. That is going to take up a large part of the budget. But where is the safety net for our people?
Yeah.
You know, what programs are we going to have in place to help people and to help them when they need it quickly? Mm-hmm. So yes, I agree with the person that wrote in that it is a major issue. We have been saying it. I've certainly been saying it every time I come on the radio that I'm waiting to hear from the government. And hopefully we'll get a few answers next week in Parliament.
Okay, I know, gentlemen. Both of you have to leave, or just the leader? Okay, because we have 3 callers on hold. We're going to try to grab at least 2 before we go to our next commercial break, and then we'll have some WhatsApp messages as well. So, Paul, possibly after these 3 calls, we'll close the phone lines off so that we can cover other things as well, and want to give the leader an opportunity for some closing comments before he departs as well. So let's grab the next caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning, Mr. Hugh. And Mr.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I just want to highlight some of the incompetences of the government that you could probably bring to the Parliament in the next meeting. There was a groundbreaking ceremony for a Montessori school in West Bay yesterday afternoon. And the Minister of Education, Ms. Juliana O'Connor-Conlon, was not even present. It is understood that the office did not even respond to the invitation. Her office didn't even respond to the invitation offered. And my question is, how are we to harbor and instill good education if the minister shows such lack of interest? I just think that's something you could probably mention in Parliament. Like, where was she? There's a school opening, and the Minister of Education is not even present and didn't even respond to the invitation. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. We still have enough time for another one. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Orrett.
Good morning.
Mr. Hugh, Mr. McTaggart.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I think I would like to have a little mature discussion, just briefly, 3 minutes probably. We need to discuss this issue about bank interest rates, and not taken in abstract, but really, if you dig down to the basics of it, we are importing U.S. monetary policy into this country whenever the rates go up, because it's not the U.S. banks are increasing their rates on Cayman banks. It's the Federal Open Market Committee, which is a subset of the U.S. government, really, that they adheres and follows the aims and objectives of the U.S. government by implementing measures to tame the inflation within the U.S. economy. In this case, they're increasing interest rates to try to tamper what they consider to be too high inflation. But here we are in Cayman talking about inflation, and yet we are importing cost-push inflation by adopting U.S. monetary policy. And it's not only this government that has sat idly by. You all have done it too, and the government before you all have done it too. I think it's time to have a mature discussion about what is the empirical evidence that these banks have that enables them to increase their interest rates and adopt U.S. government monetary policy, which we are not adhering to here, but yet we are feeling the effects of U.S. monetary policy. And I think it is asinine. I think it is really out of order for the banks to be doing so, because if you really have the banks sit down and provide empirical evidence, the majority of the loans that are lent in the Cayman marketplace are loans which are derived from depositors' funds, which they take a share of to lend long-term based on the trend, and also shareholders' equity and capital. And really, I mean, I think it's time to have this issue addressed and not just call in the banks and have a casual talk and get on your knees, as it were, and say, please, can you help us in this matter? We are importing U.S. monetary policy, and it's time that the parliamentarians face this issue head on and have a mature discussion the Jim Borden style, where some red lines are put in the sand as to what we expect these banks to do. And I hope that when Mr. Bush's motion comes to the House next week, that a mature discussion can be held about this issue and some resolute decision taken to put a stop to this cartel behavior that it goes on here. For example, even the cashing of checks and $10 at one bank, $5 at one bank, $15 at another bank. You go to one bank down at Cayman Bay, and even if it's their check and you don't have an account with them, they can't cash your check.
Yeah. 20 seconds, caller. 20 seconds, we have to go.
Silly things.
Yeah, well, caller, those are, I just spoke about. Even the interest rates are one thing, but all of the additional expenses, the costs that are being burdened on all people. But, you know, when you look at the announcement by First Guardian this week, is that they're closing all their counters.
Right.
So, you know, the days of, you know, I had one constituent already yesterday that doesn't have a bank account and used to go and cash his check at FCIB. He will no longer be able to do that. So, you know, our office is going to have to help him open a bank account. But even cashing it, you know, it's crazy that when you go to a bank to cash a check that they charge you to print, that they're going to turn around then and charge you again to cash it. Some of those charges and some of the fees that I see added on, those are the things that perhaps, even as a start, as a government, as you rightfully said, we can start to sit down and draw a line in the sand with the banks and say, hey, listen, we have to find a way, and there has to be an end to the consistent and constant increases that our people are facing. For me, globally, it seems as if banks are pushing people towards not using banks and finding other means of moving money around, etc. And blockchain technology and all those sorts of things seems to be the future.
Yeah. Caller, I want to thank you. Thank you very much. We've gone way beyond our commercial break. This is our last commercial break. When we return, we're going to give the Leader of the Opposition an opportunity for some closing comments. We still have one caller on hold, and I have a few WhatsApp messages here as well. So, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. One caller on hold, but we want to give the Leader of the Opposition an opportunity for some closing comments because he has a 10 o'clock meeting that he has to leave for.
Thank you, OC. I don't really have much else to add, but to thank you for hosting me this morning, and Joey as well. And, thanks also for the callers who have called in and asked questions. Hope we've given clear answers with regard to the issues that we've been queried on, but some of them do need a much more fulsome discussion in order to get to the bottom of it, because it's some of the issues that you're facing here and with interest rates and stuff like that. It's not easy. There's not a straight answer. There are complications. Sounds like a good idea to limit and ask the banks to reduce their interest rates, but that has knock-on consequences for the banks, and so it needs a much wider discussion and more time to flesh out those things so that people understand how it really operates and how the banks operate in Cayman.
And if time allows, you, the finance person, we can dedicate a portion of your next appearance to talk more fulsome about that as well. I'm sure that our audience would appreciate that.
I'd be happy to do it.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Enjoy the weekend as well. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Okay, the call dropped. So I'm going to share this here. One of our listeners, in terms of Miss Sarah Orrett, said, Sarah Orrett walking into the government administration building and Sarah is in post is so infectious and warm. The light shines more, including in the security, so gracious and attentive to you to remind you of attending a real special place, which GAB is. That is a government administration building. Sarah is focused, smiling, hospitable, and involved with you as a visitor. Truthfully, that is the way most Caymanians grew up. That is why we have the economic miracle here in the Cayman Islands, and the person says, I am so proud of her. To openly tell you, to openly tell her, and you are one of a kind. Love you, keep on doing what you do. And that's coming from Miss Lucille Seymour in relation to Miss Sarah Orrett. People, Mr. Hugh, people still don't understand. I heard the other day someone was talking to me about arriving in Miami and at the Cayman Airways counter, and Marilyn there, call her Soka. The way that she runs that counter and the way that she handles people, you could be traveling and you're stressed out, and as soon as you get to the Cayman Airways ticket counter, you're relaxed. You're in a different zone altogether. We cannot and we should not underestimate the importance of having Caymanians on the front line, because we do not have to pretend in any way. It comes natural to us. That is so important, and unfortunately in some aspects we're losing it.
And I will continue to say, and I'm not painting a brush across the entire an entire organization, but on the front lines in particular, even those of us with authority, as our guests are arriving into the country, sometimes we got to take a step back and do our jobs thoroughly, but with a smile on our faces, because your job there is dual purpose. You are tasked with the security of the country, in certain senses, but you're also tasked with welcoming guests to our shores, which is a huge part of our economy. So, that Cayman kind needs to just be from the ticket counter, like you said, on Cayman Airways, and in particular, as you arrive at the airport here, with the nice calypso music playing, it should be a warm and welcoming experience for everyone. So, yeah, I agree with you 100% there. So, just a few minutes left to go.
Sure.
I want to touch on a few things. One in particular, receiving a lot of persons contacting me seeking help and also asking for advice on receiving waivers on partial waivers on stamp duty and things of that nature. There seems to be that the the Minister of Finance, that being the Premier, his office has been inundated with applications, and I believe that those applications are coming in because the Parliament unanimously passed a private member's motion a year ago now, raising the limits of first-time Caymanian buyers by 100,000 for houses and for land, including and several other very important and very helpful amendments to the stamp duty law, including that if you are buying a property above the first time the 500,000 that was proposed, that you would only pay 2% on the additional above that. We also put in place that all Caymanians would qualify for a reduction to 5% stamp duty on any purchases. So giving the Caymanian that 2.5% advantage in the market over non-Caymanians. So these are very meaningful changes to the stamp duty law to assist Caymanians in gaining in purchasing homes and land. And there's also proposed amendments in there to allow persons to share property, groups of persons to use their first-time Caymanian waivers to purchase larger slots of property, those sorts of things. So, real changes that will make a major impact in the benefit for our people. And it's just disappointing. We've been 1 year in and nothing has happened yet. At the time, the then Minister for Finance, Mr. Saunders, said that he was happy that we brought the motion and that we would be delighted to know that they accept the motion and they're going to actually do more than what we proposed. And we haven't heard a word a year later.
Of course, he's no longer there.
No longer the Minister of Finance, and quite frankly, it seems as if everything in that office has come to a screeching halt since that, in this regard, I should say. So, again, feedback I'm getting from persons, the amount of phone calls I'm getting asking advice on what persons can do. Many people have missed out on opportunities to purchase homes in a year, over the last year, while this has been sitting idly. Not everyone knew that you could actually apply to the Minister of Finance for waivers or partial waivers. And I think it's a shame. I think it really is a shame. I would say hundreds of Caymanians have lost opportunities over the last 12 months since this motion was passed to take advantage of and buy and purchase their first home, or to save a bit of money, get a bit of equity in their first home, even if they were able to muster up the stamp duty. So that was one. The second one, OC, was in local news on the airport and the $76 million, I think, expansion plans there for the airport.
Right.
There's a lot more information to come out of that, but one of the more concerning things, and I think the Compass raised it today in their article, is that Little Cayman has been overlooked in this $76 million plan that the Airports Authority have announced. And it is concerning because the minister is quoted in our article as saying that civil aviation will continue to let them operate into Little Cayman if government is seen to be moving towards a solution. But yet there's no mention of any solution in this plan. And the reason he gives is that they don't have the funding for it. He also doesn't give any timeline on when the EIA will start, or if they're going to even do it in Little Cayman. And we also know that private individuals now own most of the land that the present airport is on, and we don't know whether or not they will continue to allow the status quo there. And so this is a major concern. I had a message here from speaking with the representative, Mr. Moses Colonel from Kimmanbrack West and Little Cayman, and we would love to get some clarity on what are the plans for Little Cayman. It can't be that it just can't afford it in such a an urgent situation as outlined by their own consultants when they did the public consultation on the plan. They were very clear, it's in today's compass, very clear that Little Cayman is in a urgent state for safety and for regulatory purposes. And yet it has been put on the back burner in the $76 million plan. So hopefully the Airports Authority or the minister can provide some clarity on what is the future of the Little Cayman Airport and what their plans are there, and if there is any consideration for budgets in the future. It doesn't seem so. It says that basically budget didn't allow it. I would think that they would be able to move some things around in the sake of safety and to ensure. I know there's a lot of people that wish that maybe nobody ever comes to Little Cayman, but there are a lot of people in Little Cayman who survive on tourism and connectivity, and I think it would be very disappointing if there's an interruption of service there because of the lack of attention. So those are just the two other points I had. I have OC. I guess I missed it earlier if you did it, but birthdays. I had Miss Marva Webb was on the 28th of last month, and Miss Eulalie Webb was on the 29th. I have a very special birthday wish this morning to my very good friend Yvonne McPhail, and many people may not know who Yvonne McPhail is, but that's Mousy.
Okay.
So a big shout out to her this morning and wishing her a special day today and a happy birthday.
Okay, and one of our fellow cyclists, Mr. Josen Ebanks, is celebrating a birthday today as well. Just saw that pop up on Facebook. So hopefully we'll see Josen on the bike out tomorrow morning as well. Folks, I want to remind you on Monday, the 5th of June, the governor, Her Excellency Jane Owen, will be on For the Record, commencing at 9 o'clock. If you have any questions or observations, I would encourage you to please send them in advance. You can send an email to me at fortherecord at candw.ky, or you can WhatsApp us 925-3261. No guarantee that we will be able to take any phone calls. That will depend. She will only be here for an hour from 9 until 10 o'clock in the morning, letting you know in advance so that you can listen in and, if possible, join in the conversation. If not at least live, then by sending us emails or WhatsApp messages as well. So I want to give thanks this morning again to the Leader of the Opposition and his deputy for being on the show. Thanks to all of you who have contributed to the discussion, and I can say to you that those of you who had questions and concerns about interest rates, that the Leader of the Opposition, with his profession and his calling being in finance, has given a commitment to talk more about the interest rates and the pros and cons, the challenges that are faced based on the type of regime that we have here in the Cayman Islands as far as banking, as far as the regulatory process is concerned as well. And he's committed to dedicating a portion of the next appearance on For the Record to talk more in depth about that, to try to explain more in that regard
being
as well.
Fixed to the U.S.
Yes.
Is certainly something that has to be considered.
Yep.
When we talk about these things,
and we certainly look forward to that as well. So just want to say to you, continue to support your radio station. Join Sterling Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And again, a big shout out to Miss Sarah Orrett. Keep up the good work. And you are also a shining example for many others, and I hope and I trust that many of the occupants and the employees in the government administration building will look at you as an example and follow in your footsteps.
And
as
OC,
well.
I had one other birthday
Sure,
shout out
sure.
for this week, and I wasn't going to do it because he's getting old. I didn't know if he wanted me to.
You don't have to say the age.
But a very special birthday to my very, very good friend, a fisherman and first class golfer, Gerald Jefferson, celebrated his birthday earlier this week. And so I just want a special happy birthday to him, and hopefully the weather holds up long enough that he can enjoy some fishing and golfing this week.
Excellent, excellent. Folks, have a great day. Please stay safe, and God bless.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money, from abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Visit energy.gov.ky or follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and